It feels like every company on the planet is feeling this pressure to do AI. There's this constant hum of urgency, right? This fear of getting left behind. But just jumping in head first without a plan, well, that's a recipe for chaos. So that's what we're here to do. Take that urgent feeling and channel it into a clear, confident strategy. And this right here is the big idea that changes everything. Success with AI isn't about who buys the newest tool the fastest. It's about having a real direction, a purpose. Honestly, shifting your mindset to this one idea is what separates a failed experiment from a real, lasting competitive advantage. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the AI speed trap and why so many companies fall into it. Then, we'll look at what it means to chart a clear course. After that, we'll walk through a practical 4-phase roadmap, see how it plays out in the real world, and finally, talk about building your AI future. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the big problem, the AI speed trap. This is where so many well-intentioned projects go sideways, all because the focus is on doing something instead of doing the right thing. You've really got two paths you can go down here. On one side, you've got the reactive approach, just buying tools because you feel like you have to. And what happens? Total confusion, budgets get blown, and you end up with expensive software nobody even uses. But on the other side, you've got the strategic plan, the roadmap. And that approach, it gives you confidence, it gives you control. It makes sure every single step you take actually lines up with your goals. All right, so if rushing is the problem, what's the fix? Well, it's all about charting a clear course. And the best tool for that job is an AI implementation roadmap. So what is a roadmap, really? It's not just some boring document. Think of it as a step-by-step guide. It stops AI from being just a bunch of random, disconnected science projects and turns it into a single, managed system that actually works for your whole organization. A really powerful roadmap weaves together these 4 critical pillars. It forces you to connect that big picture vision with what your teams are doing day to day. It makes you think about your people, their skills, your tech, and the quality of your data. And so importantly, it builds ethics and accountability in from the very beginning, not as an afterthought. If these 4 aren't connected, any AI project is going to have a tough time. Okay, now we get to the really practical stuff. How do you actually build this thing? Well, here's the core framework, a simple 4-phase journey that'll guide you through the whole process. And you'll see it's a really logical flow, nothing too complicated here. You start with readiness, which is all about building a solid foundation. Then you move to the pilot phase to test things out on a small, safe scale. After that is integration, where you start to scale up what works. And finally, governance, which is all about keeping an eye on things and making them better over time. Now, phase 1, readiness. And listen, this might just be the most important step of them all because this is where you prevent future disasters. It's about resisting that urge to jump right into the how and instead asking 3 key questions. First, why are we doing this? What's the actual business problem we need to solve? If you can't answer that, just stop. Second, who will this affect? That gets everyone on the same page, building basic AI literacy. And third, what do we have to work with? This means taking a hard, honest look at your data and your policies. Get these right, and you've got a foundation you can build anything on. So once that foundation is solid, you're ready for phase 2, the pilot. And the key here is to start small. You want to pick a project that's low risk, but could have a really high impact. This is how you build momentum and trust inside the company. And crucially, you run these tests with a ton of human oversight, constantly getting feedback from the people who will actually be using the tool every day. All right, you've got a successful pilot under your belt. Awesome. Now it's time for phase 3, integration. This is not about just flipping a switch and hoping for the best. It's about carefully weaving this new tech into the way you already work. That means training, setting up review processes, and this is non-negotiable, making sure a human always stays in the driver's seat for key decisions. And that brings us to the final phase, governance. The big thing to get here is that this part, it never really ends. AI isn't a one-and-done project. It's a living system. That means you're constantly tracking performance, updating your models responsibly, and regularly checking in on the ethical impact. Technology changes, and your policies have to change right along with it. Okay, that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's make it tangible and walk through a quick case study. So imagine a company trying to automate its internal reporting. Without a roadmap, it's a total mess. Different teams are all doing their own thing, errors are actually going up, and pretty soon, nobody trusts the system. It's just chaos. Now, flip the script. With a roadmap, the approach is completely different. You start with a small pilot, you train the people who will run it, you integrate it slowly, and what do you get? You get real efficiency, but with accountability. The difference is night and day. So when you pull back and look at the big picture, you start to see that this is about so much more than just avoiding a few mistakes. This is really about building a sustainable strategic advantage for years to come. So why does all this matter so much? Well, first, it saves you a ton of risk and money. It also builds trust with your employees. They become part of the solution, not victims of change. It guarantees you're using this incredibly powerful technology in a responsible way. And at the end of the day, it makes sure that every single thing you do with AI is pulling you toward your most important long-term goals. If you take away only one thing today, let it be this: the technology is just a tool. The real secret to making AI work is building it step by step with a relentless focus on the people who will use it, benefit from it, and manage it. So the takeaway here is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Forget the mad dash. Instead, plan carefully, start small, and scale responsibly. That is how you go from feeling pressured by AI to actually leading with it.